What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with 9 reasons to move to Australia in 2022. And before we dive into this, I need you to dive into that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You ain't subscribed to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me, human. I'll talk back. If you guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What are these reasons I need to go to the Outback? Talk to me.
How true all of those videos telling you about how dangerous and horrible Australia is to live in, well, I can tell you now, they're all bull. G'day guys, my name's Ross and I moved with my family from the UK to Australia during a global pandemic. Whilst I'm not a fan of overpopulation, I do feel like we need to inform and share with people how beautiful and wonderful this country is to live in. So this is my 9 reasons to move to Australia in 2022. Now the first reason is to do with your quality of life. If you're a fan of outdoor living, time with the family, general sunshine on your face and having a beer with your mates, well, you can rest assured that all of these things exist in Australia. Now because these things were important to us, coming from the UK, we realised that they weren't really in abundance, especially the sunshine type of thing. And with our jobs and our lifestyle, we soon realised that we needed to move abroad. Now in Brisbane, with twice the amount of sunshine hours as the UK, and with better jobs that can afford us more time, we have time now to spend with our friends and our family. The only thing we're waiting for now is our loved ones to be able to visit us, but we won't have to wait too long for that now. Now reason number 2 is a debatable.
That's dope, man. Shout out quality of life. Yeah, if you just enjoy being outdoors, spending time with family, seeing great sights, all of that stuff, definitely beautiful.
Visit us, but we won't have to wait too long for that now. Now reason number 2 is a debatable subject, and that's coffee. And on this occasion I'm going to be like most of my fellow Aussies and say that you're wrong. The coffee culture in Australia is second to none. In the UK, I thought that we liked coffee, but like America with its growing commercialism, I soon too realised that the UK coffee is a bit crap. There's a reason why in Australia people get up so bloody early, and it's not to go down the beach for a morning surf or to exercise before it gets too bloody hot. It's so they can pop down to their local coffee shop and get a nice early spot in the queue. I've even upgraded to one of those fancy coffee machines in my home, and it's got nothing to do with me enjoying a better cuppa in the morning, but it's so I can be more pretentious about what tasting notes I can detect and how much. And number 3 is for all those money-grubbing mercenaries out there. The average wage in Australia is a little over $90,000 a year, which is twice the UK. Now everyone always counteracts this with, isn't it more expensive to live in Australia? And they're right. It is. But not only do we also have more money here in Australia, I also believe that our purchasing power is also higher. And if you're wondering what purchasing power is, let me explain. Now if I buy a pint of milk in the UK for 60p and I'm on minimum wage, for an hour's work I can buy nearly 14 pints of milk. In Australia that same pint of milk is going to cost about $1.15, and if I'm also on minimum wage I can buy nearly 18 pints of milk for the same time. Now I know that this isn't going to be the same for everything, and everyone's wage is different depending on their job, but after living here and experiencing it for a year, I can say that I actually feel like I have more money in my pocket, and it's a bloody good feeling. The only thing I haven't found though is an alternative to 99p drinks in Wetherspoons. God, can you imagine what it would be like in Australia if they had drinks that cheap? I guess I'll just have to enjoy that now on visits back to the UK. Now after a long
people would be dying. People would be dying if they had drinks that cheap in Australia, I assume. But this is a fun video to react to. So the wages, for sure, they make a lot more in Australia than I feel like a lot of other places that I know of. Like you said, it is a little more expensive there, but at the end of the day, he still feels like he walks away with more money than when he did in the UK. And so that's what it's about. At the end of the day, how much money do you walk away with? Keep it going.
If they had drinks that cheap. I guess I'll just have to enjoy that now on visits back to the UK. Now after a long day at work, wouldn't you like to come back and enjoy a larger house with a pool? Well, maybe that's going to happen for you. Yes, some house prices in Australia mean if you move to that city, it's going to mean a downgrade. But when we wanted to move to Australia, we meant that we wanted to move to all of Australia. And that lack of wanting to move to a specific city gave us a lot more flexibility. It's allowed us to keep our options open and help us to think, what do we want from our lifestyle, and then pick something accordingly that we could afford. If we still lived in the UK, then yeah, we probably could have afforded a bigger house, probably without a pool unless you wanted to sit there and blow it up, but it definitely wouldn't have been in a place that we wanted to live. If you're wanting to move to Australia, then be safe in the knowledge that there are bigger and better houses out there for you. Maybe not exactly where you want to live, but unless you're a millionaire, then you're probably going to have to make some sacrifices in your life. I know a major turning point for me was after a long week of teaching kids that didn't want to learn and having a scan on the internet and realising my 3-bedroom semi-detached in the UK could be upgraded for a 4-bedroom detached house with a pool in Australia. And I know I keep banging on about a pool. To be honest, they're harder to maintain than sometimes I can be bothered. But you can always just buy a robot. Now last year some boffins made up a list of the world's most livable cities. And guess what? 4 of them were Australian. So if you live in Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne or Brisbane, then you're a lucky so-and-so. And if you still live back in the UK, well, sorry, none of them are there. Now this was compiled by the Livability Index, and it takes into consideration factors like education, culture, your environment, crime, and even pressures on the infrastructure around you. Now I'm sorry if I seem quite passionate about this, but as an ex-geography teacher, I'm kind of geeking out on the subject. And the reason...
The more you talk, my guy, the more great Australia sounds. The more you talk, the more great Australia sounds. The more my bags might slowly start packing themselves.
Passionate about this, but as an ex-geography teacher, I'm kind of geeking out on the subject. And the reason why you should be geeking out on it too is these are the types of things that should be important to you, especially if you're going to move over here with a young family. Now I know a lot of the previous 10 cities have fallen out of favour because of their response to COVID, but if it takes a global pandemic to expose some of the flaws of where you live, well I suppose that's kind of a good thing. The other great thing is that most of these cities, apart from Melbourne, are still really affordable to live in. And if you want to do what I did, I checked out realestate.com.au and looked at all of the different houses that could be available within my price bracket. Now if that's inspired you already, but you're worried about what you need to do to actually move over here, then you might want to speak to our friends at True Blue Migration Services. True Blue Migration Services is one of Australia's oldest and most experienced group of MARA registered agents. They've been able to help thousands of people from all across the world realise their dreams of moving to Australia. Now our move to Australia took a long time and it was full of stress and worry. And to be honest, I don't think we would have been able to make the move over here without using an agent ourselves. Speak to True Blue Migration Services today and they'll be able to offer you a free consultation and tell you exactly what you need to do to move to this beautiful country. They're free advices without any obligation and they're able to help with some of the most complex situations. So go and speak to them today, tell them we sent you, and it really helps the channel out. Now reason number 6.
True Blue. Y'all might have a future customer, True Blue. Y'all might have a future customer.
So go and speak to them today, tell them we sent you, and it really helps the channel out. Now reason number 6 should be able to help you out with any homesick feelings that you might have. And the fact is, you probably won't be the only Brit in Australia. British people in Australia make up the largest migrant group, and there's over 1 million of us. So you won't have to go far until you hear a familiar voice. With the mix of online forums, British pubs, British shops, there's plenty of opportunities for you to be able to get your British fix. Now whilst I'll always recommend for you to get out there and mix with the locals, don't worry, only some of them bite. We're always going to smile when we hear a familiar accent. The guy that painted my banisters, he was from Liverpool. The guy that did my pest inspection, he was from up north. I'm sorry I can't pinpoint exactly where he came from. My ear isn't that good, I didn't ask him. And for me, a southern fairy, I'm sorry, but most northerners sound the same, as I'm sure we do to them. The point is, you don't have to go too far to find a fellow Brit and take them down the pub and have a drink and talk about how shit your lives were back in the UK. And why it's so much better over here. And reason number 7 might not make sense to anyone not coming from the UK, but in Australia, they also drive on the left. And they also recognise UK driving licences, so you can just get them changed over. You still have to pay for it, but it's one less thing to worry about, I suppose. Signs are obviously different, but ever so slightly familiar, and driving on slightly wider roads gives you a smiling sense, if not ever so slightly squinting, because the sun's stronger in you. I always end up having to drive in sunglasses now. The only thing I have to contend with now is just Australians that don't know how to drive. And the fact that they don't know how to drive leads me nicely onto reason number 8. And that's the laid-back attitude. Australians are funny, friendly, and ever so informal. If Aussies were any more laid-back, they'd be horizontal. Looking back on our lives in the UK, everything just seemed to feel so much on edge. And it was like you were losing something if things didn't go to plan. Here, the only question you need to ask yourself is, what's the worst that's going to happen? And I guess it's so much easier to have no worries when everyone around you also seems to share the same sentiment in life. I suppose it also helps to have more sunshine on your face to make you feel better about the day. I don't think I could
I love the laid backness. Man, this just sounds beautiful. Australia just sounds like a nice place to live. It just sounds like a great place to live. Great people, great vibes, and you just get to enjoy your time.
I suppose it also helps to have more sunshine on your face to make you feel better about the day. I don't think I could cope with another winter in the UK. I'm scared that Australia's making me soft. Now, reason number 9 is the reason why you're still listening to me jabber on about why it's great to live in Australia. And that's because all you want is a fresh start. It's what you've wanted. It's the change that you've been looking for. There's nothing worse than living a life that you're not happy with. If you're fortunate enough to go out there and grab what you want, then you should have the courage to go out and do it. The last 2 years have shown us all how bad situations can expose the current flaws in our lives. If that's made you realise that you need something new, then don't be one of these people that looks back on their life and regrets the things that they never did. I can sit here and tell you about how wonderful my life here is in Australia, but only you have the power to change yours. Hopefully 2022 will be a year where everything starts to get back to normal, so why don't you start your new normal in somewhere you've always wanted to be. I hope my passion for this beautiful country has inspired you to also make the move to Australia. If you're not sure what you need to do next, make sure you speak to our friends at True Blue Migration Services. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. And if you want to see how we got here in the first place, then make sure you check out that video. Give it a click.
I love that. Absolutely love it. That's all we got for this one, guys. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You want to subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. And I love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy D Neal. Out.